Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the third race of the third season of the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. Here tonight under the lights at Lernerville Raceway. Getting ready here for the qualifying heats before these drivers will prepare for the upcoming 35-lap main event. Seth Cole alongside of Anthony McCrory, and Anthony, a lot of different areas where this racetrack can get you, and I think we're going to kind of see drivers test the limits here tonight. The big one, though, is over there in the back straightaway. There's no wall. You make a mistake, you're going out of bounds here at this track.
The tree line is the wall at this racetrack, and everyone is going to be aware of that because I've noticed a lot of drivers during practice that they were running right along the outside of the racetrack, and that is where you run the fastest to get the speed because the way the dirt bank's up there. The problem is if you go out too far, you're going to end up dipping your right rear off the racetrack and end up in the trees. As you can see, even in the turns, that's where there's no wall anywhere. The only place that there's a barrier at any point in this racetrack is the front straightaway and a little bit in turns 3 and 4, although it is pretty far away and you still have that initial dip down before there is any barricade, so these drivers have to be careful of that.
There'll be 8 drivers here in the first heat, 10 laps, caution free. Ethan Stuckwich is going to be the pole sitter alongside of John Canizaro, who comes into this race second in the overall standings. James Boniface and Benjamin Fanning in row 2. Jimmy Allen, Zane Burke will make up row 3, and then Tony Lucarelli and Jason Freeman, who is third in the overall standings, they are going to make up the 4th and final row. Bobby Trapper, so far this season, a perfect 2 for 2 to start out the year. Of course, the champion of the past 2 seasons. However, the number of wins that he had last year, this was one track that eluded him. He finished runner-up to Don MacArthur 1 season ago, so we'll see if he's going to be able to go a perfect 3 for 3 at a track he hasn't won at yet in his career. As the green flag's out, heat number 1, it's underway.
Everyone already trying to dip to the inside of the racetrack, seeing if they can make up the ground there. One guy, Stuckwich, trying to make the inside line work, but the outside line seems to prevail with the 3 machine going in front. And then outside Fanning tries to make this outside line work as well. Looks like that's the preferred line at the moment.
An edge ahead right there off of turn 2. You see a lot of drivers jerking the wheel hard left, making sure they don't go over that little bit of curbing that would send them to the outside of the racetrack, as Stuckwich going to slot now into the 4th spot. James Boniface going to go around for 3rd place, and now tries to get 2nd from the 96.
Boniface has got a big run, sends the 213 in, tries to make the inside line work right alongside. He's got the momentum. Can he carry it into turn 1? Sticks it down to the inside of the racetrack, tries to slide up in front of Fanning, but alongside. He's got the momentum, though. He could be able to make this pass right here. If Fanning doesn't go off the track, and he's gone off, and so too has Stuckwich.
2 cars off course. Stuckwich going to come back onto the racing surface. Fanning was able to do the same. Lucky for them, it happened over in 3 and 4 where there is a little bit of runoff. Oh, we got a car way off that time. That was Lucarelli, I believe, in the 41.
Lucarelli has gone off the track and has now gone back into the pit lane. So 1 driver down. He will be able to make it into the main event, I believe. So nothing lost there, but he will have a pretty poor starting position as Canizaro still leads the way, but Boniface is catching up. We might see a battle for the lead of this heat very soon.
Right now, about 0.6 of a second and continuing to close as Boniface was able to run a little bit higher of a rim there through 1 and 2, getting that straightaway speed, and you can visibly see the gap closing with 3 laps remaining. Remember again here for these heat races as well, top 5 finishers get bonus points here for these respective heats. Jason Freeman and Benjamin Fanning, they are battling right now for the 4th position, both comfortably inside the top 5, and as they battle, here comes Stuckwich now into the picture. So this is the battle for the final spot to get that final heat point. Give it to the 24 off of turn 4.
Going in through turn 1 and 2, Freeman trying to get away from Stuckwich. Stuckwich, I think, doesn't have much damage on his car. He might try to catch up and get 4th place at least. And talk about Jimmy Allen in 3rd place, kind of the benefactor of all the chaos that happened a few laps ago in the 99. Just running his race now. He'll get some bonus points if he continues to run where he's at. Battle for the lead now between Canizaro and Boniface as the laps tick down. 1 lap to go. Well, that was the last lap.
And Canizaro was able to hold off Boniface, and he may have had a connection problem just after crossing the start-finish line, so very fortunate that it took place when it did. Jimmy Allen, as you mentioned, finishing in that 3rd position. Good run for him. And then Jason Freeman and Ethan Stuckwich. Those are going to be the top 5 for the first heat of the evening. It now sets us up here for what I believe is going to be our second and final heat. 7 drivers in this one. Pole sitter is going to be Lupe Gonzalez in the 35, alongside of the aforementioned Bobby Trapper, looking to go 3 for 3 to start out the season. Grant Wesley will be rolling off from third. Bobby Puckett, who is 6th in the overall standings, had some struggles last week. He is going to roll off 4th. Brian Rubel, who's up in the top 5 in points, 5th in the overall standings, will be rolling off from the inside of row 3 alongside of Kyle Roginski, and Breyer Fritz in the number 12 will be bringing up the rear of the field.
And this heat will determine starting positions for the outside line, I believe, and we'll get to see what these drivers can do. Gonzalez, Trapper, Wesley, and Puckett, the top 4. Now, if anything that we saw in the last race is any indication of this race, you're not safe at all if you try to run the outside line. However, if you do go off the track, especially if you're able to catch it and slow the car down in enough time, you can recover. We saw last time by, we saw 2 drivers go off track, and one of them was able to get into 4th place. So, with that being said, not as critical if you can save the car. However, if you do fly off the track, it will end up having a DNF.
Right now, 2 races in, getting ready for the 3rd race of the season. The battle for the points lead is hot and heavy between John Cananzaro, who we saw pick up that heat victory, and the current points leader, Bobby Trapper. Trapper has 8 bonus points so far this season, 10 for John Cananzaro, but Cananzaro is behind Trapper by 14 points. We'll see if the 69 feels the sense of urgency to pick up another heat win, as he's going to pull away into turn 1, brings Bobby Puckett along with him.
And everyone behind there was 4 wide back there. Rubel was on the inside
line.
Got
a spinner. Breyer Fritz just went around there in the middle of the back straightaway, but no caution will come out.
He's off track at the moment. Battle for the lead as Gonzalez goes to the inside. Will make that Trapper to the front. And now behind him, Puckett and Roginski try to battle for 2nd place. Down to the extreme inside line is Gonzalez, who started up on the pole. He's got to try and make up some ground. He's all the way back in 4th place now. That inside line definitely not working around the track at the moment.
Not the faster way around the track, but it could very well be the safest way around the track. As now Grant Wesley, a little contact there between those two. That upset the 35 more, I think, than it did the 88. And Wesley able to hang on to it, going to slot into the 4th spot.
Got Wesley pointed in the right direction. He's able to hammer the throttle and keep going. Gonzalez does lose some ground. Rubel is losing some ground after his contact earlier in the night. And Fritz just trying to finish the race in one piece as he's got Trapper right behind him, who's now gone to the inside line. Maybe sensing that it's not worth running the outside line at this moment in the race. Got to conserve it. However, Puckett right up around the outside. So too is Roginski behind him.
Well, you see these guys trying to run that razor's edge on the top. Look at the hand movement inside here on 2nd place, Bobby Puckett, trying to close in on Bobby Trapper for this heat victory. He's got his hands full, though, right on his back bumper. It's Kyle Roginski. Had a nice high exit there off of 4 and crosses over into 1.
Roginski trying to do the slide over, and he's got it. He's got the 2nd place position, but Puckett's got a run going into 3. Sails it in. Can he get the car to stick? He's got it. He's got it for the moment, but at the line, I think it was Roginski that took it. And now, to the inside again goes Puckett.
Here comes Wesley into the picture now. 3-man dance for the runner-up spot. Got a car off track back there. I think that might have been the 12 of Breyer Fritz yet again, who's fallen a lap down, but this may be the battle for the checkered flag. It's all going on 7/10, 8/10 of a second behind Bobby Trapper. Wesley, Roginski, and Puckett all trying to get spots. We're going to cut the car off track. That's Brian Rubel. Correction, Lupe Gonzalez off on the back straightaway.
1 lap to go in the heat 2 for these drivers as Trapper takes it. 2nd place up for grabs, but Wesley sails it in through 1 and 2. Tries to slide up in front of the 40, but cannot do it as Puckett gets the position away. Trapper will win the heat 2. Who finishes 2nd? It's going to be Puckett and Wesley, the top 3.
My goodness, we saw slide job after slide job, and it made me so nervous when they did it over there in 1 and 2, because as we know with the slide job, you enter low, it's going to drift high, and you got to hope that that thing's not going to go over that little bit of a curbing there and send you off the back straightaway. Nicely done by a number of drivers, and I have a feeling there was a little bit of going to school right there, Anthony, testing the limits of just how far you can press it without stepping over that razor's edge.
Yeah, we saw a couple of drivers really pushing it in, as you mentioned, and a couple of them were able to make it work, were able to get right up on the edge and keep it in, although some drivers did not were not as fortunate as some other drivers. So we saw a lot of them go off the last time out, and even before that, a few of them, well, they're not too terribly starting in this field. We've got Lupe Gonzalez, who will unfortunately get a 14th after going off track earlier. But some of these other drivers that we saw go off track, they're starting pretty reasonable at the beginning of this race. But right now, we're getting ready for our 35-lap main event. And, well, if you thought that 6 and 7 cars on the track at one time was exciting, well, get ready for all 15 of them on the track at the same time.
35 green flag laps. Caution laps will not count here tonight, as Briar Fritz and Benjamin Fanning, they're going to be the front row to lead us to green. Brian Rubel and Ethan Stuckwich are going to be row 2. Kyle Roginski, Jason Freeman in row 3. Grant Wesley and Jimmy Allen in row 4. And the top 10 completed by Bobby Puckett and James Boniface. Bobby Trapper and John Cannizzaro continue to trade blows with heat victories this season, but they will be starting back in the 6th row. Trapper in 11th and Cannizzaro in 12th. Zane Burke will be 13th, with Lupe Gonzalez, who is outside, in 14th. And Tony Lucarelli will be starting shotgun on the field in the 15th position.
35 laps, 15 drivers. At the end of it, we will crown our champion of tonight's race, and setting ourselves up for a pretty big points battle heading into the races to come. But Fritz, Fanning, Rubel, and Stuckwich will get us ready to go for 35 laps of green flag action. We're underway, and Fritz was not waiting around, but Fanning stuck right with him.
And Rubel going to drive it deep in there. He may think about 3 wide. Here comes the 0-20 of Roginski as well. 4 wide further back. Settle it out to 3. Settle it out to 2 as they head through 3 and 4.
Oh, the 20 and the 40 have gone around. The 69 also involved, and the caution will fly for that.
That includes Bobby Trapper, who is way down on the bottom. Roginski might have been the one that started with. Bobby Puckett collected up as well. I don't see extensive damage on any of those machines as we go back to 3 and 4.
They were, I think, a bit half spins for these drivers. Bobby Puckett was the one that went around first, and then just a little bit extra damage for Freeman, as he was one that went a half spin. No one got fully spun around, but then the 69 of Trapper came in and made some contact with, I believe, the 40 machine. So 2 drivers having some half spins, and that is what puts us under our first slowdown period of the night.
Puckett drove it in deep. Roginski was trying to cross to the inside, kind of diamonding the corner, didn't know the 40 car was there. Bobby Trapper with that little bit of damage, bear in mind, as opposed to last season when these drivers did have a faster pair at their disposal. Not the case here this season, so any damage they sustain, whether it be little or big, they're going to have to deal with it for the remainder of this race. And Briar Fritz did a good job of keeping everybody in his rearview mirror, at least there for the first couple of corners. He'll be the one to lead us back to green. One thing that jumped out to me, Anthony, I mentioned already the fact that this was one of the races that Bobby Trapper did not win last season. Lernerville was not on the schedule back in season 1, so he does not have a win at this racetrack yet in his TNR career, but also he did not lead a lap at all in last year's main event feature, and that's kind of a rarity when you consider just how dominant he's been in this series.
Absolutely. When you consider when you consider how his performance was last season to this season, it's kind of striking to see the differences. And so far, he's trying to make it a turnaround season, this one, and we're back under green. Fritz gets the wall on the restart. Fanning, Rubel, and everyone spreading out behind him. They're 4 wide back there between Wesley, Allen, Stuckwich, and I believe that was Boniface that was also in the 4 wide mix. They're still 4 wide, almost 5 wide, spanning out towards the front straightaway.
What a save there by Brian Rubel. Look at the 99.
Whoa.
Wow, that is flat sideways going into 1. How the heck did Jimmy Allen get that thing pointed back the correct direction? I have no idea.
Well, Wesley went off the track in turn 1. He's gotten back on the track, although in the last place position, trying to make his way back through the field. As everyone trying to scurry around, and Trapper in the middle of a battle right now between himself and Boniface Freeman. There's a lot of contact happening in the mid-pack, but everyone settles it out as 20 of Freeman trying to recover after a half spin.
You saw the 4 wide there with Lupe Gonzalez caught in the middle. There's some fenders being exchanged up there. Oh my lord, 99. I don't know if he got forced down there into the grass or what, but he and Briar Fritz made a ton of contact. Freeman makes a little contact to the back of the 12. Lot of contact being exchanged here, and somehow, some way, everyone's still pointing the right direction. More contact. That's Fritz into Trapper going into 3.
And Fritz is gonna get stuck going backwards. Oh, some contact with Puckett again, but ends up getting the better, or ends up getting away with it without any damage. Boniface now in a 3-wide situation with Freeman and Trapper. You can put a blanket over all these drivers. They're that close to each other. They haven't really been able to get away from each other, apart from our leader Fanning and Stuckwich, who have taken off away from Rubel, and Rubel has not been able to get away from Allen, and Allen hasn't been getting away from anybody.
Got first and second that have been able to get away from 12, 13 cars, all playing bumper cars back here. Trapper drives it deep on Boniface, almost clipped his left rear quarter panel. Boniface trying to get the run on Freeman. Everybody from third place on back is in a battle with somebody, side by side, and sometimes it's a side-by-side battle with one driver going into the corner, turns into a side-by-side battle with another driver coming off the corner.
Back behind them, Boniface almost got sent up out into the outside, or I would say outside wall, but there is none, so would have almost gotten into the tree line, but continues to run. Up at the front, however, we have the battle for the lead now brewing between Stuckwich and Fanning, as Fanning has lost some ground to Stuckwich, and now that we could be seeing a lead change very soon, as there was almost contact between the two of them. Now Stuckwich dives into the inside.
Looking for the slide job. Oh, that was getting close to Razor's Edge there, 24, as he almost would have gone off on the back straightaway there. Fanning's able to cross him over. Another crossover, this time out of turn 4. I think maybe by a nose, it might have been Stuckwich that led that lap. Caution is out.
And the yellow flag would be for Bobby Puckett yet again. I think he is another spin in the hole, as at the back of the pack at least. We'll have to find out what happened, as the new leader was going to be Stuckwich, but I think the yellow came out as he got passed by Fanning.
It's like some contact between Puckett and Tony Lucarelli here going into turn 3. Just barely sent the 40 up over the edge. Fortunately, he got that thing on the brakes and did not even go down into the grass before hitting that outside wall. So nice save there. Keeps that thing in one piece, and we'll continue on.
And that was a point that I think that we made earlier, where it doesn't automatically mean that your race is over. If you do go off track, you do have a little bit of runoff at all parts of this racetrack, except for the front straightaway. So a good job by Puckett to make sure that he stays on the charge heading up. He's got a fast car. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him try to make a recovery up towards the front, as the way they run, Fanning and Stuckwich, they were two drivers that did not want to see this yellow come out, because now they've got everyone else behind them, directly behind them now. Allen, Freeman, Boniface, Canizaro, all these drivers, they were a good second down on the two leaders, and now all of a sudden they find themselves right up in the midst of them all. So it's going to be fun to watch how they get away, if they can get away, or if someone, say Allen, Freeman, or any of the rest, try to send it into turn 1.
It's out top the pace car. Pace laps don't take long here at Lernerville before we get them back under the green flag. You mentioned the word charge. Talk about some drivers that are charging through the field. Boniface, Canizaro, and Trapper line up 5th, 6th, and 7th. All these drivers were started this race from 10th, 11th, and 12th position. So they are on the move as the green flag is back out. Benjamin Fanning wasting no time. He'll get up in front of Stuckwich. He's going to be side by side for the 3rd spot. Allen drives it deep. Freeman up on the top. 3 wide with Boniface and Trapper.
Behind there was some contact, it looked like, between Trapper and Freeman, or make that Boniface, but they both settle it out, although 3 wide still going down the front straightaway. Now it's for a 6th place position as the battle for the lead continues to heat up. Fanning and Stuckwich again, except this time now they've got Jimmy Allen in close proximity.
Still 3 wide back here for 5th place. Well, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th actually, as you add Canizaro into the mix with Boniface, Trapper, and Jason Freeman. Woo, crossover there by Boniface, almost across the nose of Bobby Trapper. That was tight going into 1.
There was also a bit of a bobble from the leader. I think he hit a rut in the track and sent his car a little airborne going into turn 1. He almost lost the lead to Stuckwich. Stuckwich almost sent him off the track, but they both continue on as the battle continues. Almost 4 wide for what is effectively a 4th place spot, as everyone gunning for Freeman's spot. Behind them, though, you've got Grant Wesley coming back through the field. He went off track earlier, now trying to make his way back up. Oh, almost did make it work, though.
You see how unsettled the 213 was going into turn 1? I think that there's that area there, that little bit of a hump of the actual racetrack in the run-up. I think that the right front of the 213 hit that going into turn 1. That thing jumped in the air and fortunately came back to land on the racing surface. Trapper spun it.
Trapper spun, yellow will come out. And I think he got a little bit of help from somebody. Didn't go all the way around, but that will be enough to bring out a yellow flag for the third time tonight.
Trapper, the defending champ from the last 2 seasons, the points leader tonight, did not get the benefit of a good qualifying position with winning the heat race, and he has been mired back in traffic here tonight. Looks like it might have been Kyle Roginski that got him in the back and almost flipped him over. The left sides came off the ground for a brief moment there.
Yeah, he tried to get in front of Roginski, but just could not make it happen. And again, Trapper finds himself in a tight situation, although not too damaged. Not a whole lot happened. Just the slightest bit of contact would send him around, so should be a-okay to continue on the race. And we're now working lap 20 of 35. Remember, caution laps do not count in this series, so none of these pace laps will go towards the end of the race. So effectively, we still have 16 laps to go. Fanning and Stuckwich have been stuck together for the last few laps, and we saw Jimmy Allen try to make a run the last time by. Couldn't quite make it work, but I wouldn't count out a few of these drivers behind to try and make a charge late. Grant Wesley, you mentioned him trying to get back up towards the top 5 after spinning around and going to the back of the field a few laps ago. You've got Cananzaro, who is on charge as well, and you've also got some drivers that have fallen back or trying to make their way back up, such as Brian Werble, that's trying to get up to the front. He's got some speed. He's just got to get out of the traffic.
One driver that loved the fact the 69s could be restarting at the back would be the 3 of Cananzaro. He has a chance here tonight to maybe take the points lead away from Bobby Trapper. We got a car up in the air.
That would have been, I think...
Oh, big wreck.
Couldn't quite tell what that was. Well, I know that
Jason
Fritz is involved.
Freeman is involved.
Puckett might have gotten a piece of that.
Saw someone jump into the air. It might have been Freeman. It might have been Allen. It started with Allen. I know that much.
It was Freeman that went up into the wall. That was on the start of the race. And I think what happened here was everyone just got bogged down. In fact, take that back. I think that Stuckwich just never got going, and Freeman on the inside tried to pass it, got wedged in by him in the 99, and then that sent him up the guardrail.
My goodness, what a wild ride there for the 20 car, and there were a lot of other drivers that got bits and pieces. I think I saw the 38.5 of Lupe Gonzalez get involved. Tony Lucarelli, I think, got a piece. Let's take a more spaced out look here and see who indeed all were involved. Oh, Boniface got a piece. I think Roginski got a piece. Zane Burke, I think, may have gotten a little bit of it. Man, look at the 40 pop up into the air there as he comes back down onto the actual racetrack service. So I think we had about 6, 7, maybe 8 drivers that got bits and pieces of that one.
It was at the restart. Everyone was clogged up and couldn't really go anywhere. Everyone already mashing the throttle as hard as they can. And the track kind of closes up as your car drifts to the outside. And having a car on your corner exit running up the catch fence is never a recipe for success. So thankfully everyone else is still running on the racetrack. No one has retired yet, although varying levels of damage. Fanning is still the leader. Stuckwich is in second still after getting away from all of it. But now we've got Cananzaro in third, Boniface fourth, and Roginski will be in fifth as we get ready to put them back under green flag on lap 22 of 35.
14 laps to go as they hit the stripe here. Fanning jumps to the top. Gonna be Cananzaro trying the inside line, and you know, we saw Cananzaro and we saw Bobby Trapper, Boniface all trying the middle to inside line to make forward progress, and while they can hold their own, they don't seem to really be able to move forward. I think that what we observed in the heat races is what we're going to see in the closing stages. In order to make those passes, you're probably going to have to try the slide job, because I think everybody's migrated up to the top wanting to run that razor's edge. There's nowhere to go if somebody's running the line you're running.
And if that inside line does have an advantage late in the run, then that's exactly where they're going to go. Right now, there's got some drivers that are testing that. Boniface has chosen the inside line, although... And
Bobby Trapper and Briar Fritz. That's over, I believe, in turn 3. No, turn 2, correction.
Bobby Trapper just cannot catch a break. This is the third time that he's been involved, and the second time he's been facing the wrong direction.
Briar Fritz has had to teleport to pit road, was unable to get that car refired and drive back to pit lane on his own, and oh man. We saw Bobby Trapper have contact earlier with Kyle Roginski. Well, he had contact with him yet again. This time it's Trapper sliding up the track into the 0-20, and then follow-up contact between himself and Lupe Gonzalez spins him around right into the path of Briar Fritz, who has now taken his car to the garage area.
It's a shame, too, that contact between him and Fritz, that was the shot. That if you're going to kill these cars, you're going to have a shot like that, and unfortunately that's what's going to do him in. I don't think there was engine damage, but certainly suspension damage, and at this track you definitely do not want to have problems with your suspension at the front of the car, so tough break for Briar Fitz. Tough break again also for Bobby Trapper. Touched on it a second ago. Third time involved, second time facing the wrong way. That car can't be healthy, so all he's looking for now is this race to end, and hopefully he can stay on the lead lap or even make up some spots. But it's going to be Fanning, Stuckwich still in first and second, and pretty much the running order has remained unchanged. We'll get ready to put them back under green on lap 25 of 35. Green flag back in the air, and I thought he was going to go to the inside, but Stuckwich stays on the outside. Canizaro is trying the inside line. Everyone trying to migrate to the inside to make some passes happen.
Canizaro got right up in front of Boniface, who might have given him a little bit of a shot there going into turn 3. It's Lupe Gonzalez who's trying the inside line. Lost a ton of momentum through 3 and 4. Left side, left front, right down there on the grass as he's trying to get 6th away from Roginski. Meanwhile, up ahead, Canizaro on the charge, looking for the second spot there on Stuckwich. Can't get the power down off the corner and almost was about to lose that spot to Boniface.
You get a run into the corner, but you can't carry it out of the corner. That's kind of what running the inside line is going to do to you. It's much quicker to run the outside line, as we've observed, but you just can't keep the speed, and everyone's trying to time their run so they can scoot to the inside and then slide right up in front of the guy they're trying to pass. But unfortunately, the way that they're running, no one's been able to do that successfully so far in the latter part of the race, as Wesley now has caught up to Boniface. He's gotten it up to a 5th place, and then we know that car's got more speed in it.
How about Benjamin Fanning in that 96? His second start in the season. Last week was his debut.
Whoa, car off track. He's gone off track. Fanning's gone off track. He loses the lead.
And drops all the way back outside of at least the top 10. Oh, that is a tough break, because I was just going to mention last week he was 16th when we ran the Fairbury race, and it was looking like he was going to do so well here tonight. Now Ethan Stuckwich says thank you very much, and he's got about 5-6 car lengths back to John Canizaro.
Just the slightest touch off the racetrack was with Fanning, and that's what sent him off the track. He was able to recover it. No damage was sustained, or even significant damage was sustained. So now Stuckwich with the lead, Canizaro in second place. Everyone was gifted free positions, but the difference is that no one's still been able to make a pass as they're spread out. Now Stuckwich is just hoping for the end of the race, which is coming up very shortly.
And he does not want to see a caution. That is for absolute certain, because that would bring Canizaro, Boniface, Wesley, some very fast machines to his back door. He'll see 2 to go this next time by as he enjoys 1.2 seconds back to the 3 machine.
Second place battle on between Canizaro and Boniface. Can Boniface do anything with it? Wesley's going to try and send it to the inside.
Bobby Puckett has gone around on the front straightaway. Roginski as well. We will not finish this race under the scheduled distance.
Extra time needed to finish this one, and we have another spin down the front straightaway. And this one involving at least 2 drivers. We'll have to find out what happened between them.
Like Bobby Puckett may have just gotten his right rear tire off of that edge we talked about. Nearly loses the thing. He does lose it into the wall, and then, just clips the right rear of Kyle Roginski as he was trying to get by.
And that was a hard shot that Puckett took to the outside wall as well. Both 2 hard shots back to back. And yeah, it was just at the end of the turn as well. You could see it dip off, and he knew that he was going off. Nothing that he could do. And if there's one part of the track that's the most dangerous for having your car go off, and that is the exit of turn 4, there is a wall there, the front straightaway wall, and God, hitting it a ton and then hitting up into the Roginski machine. But thankfully, both of them are still running on the racetrack.
I'll tell you what, Bobby Trapper was a man on a mission on that run. We saw that he restarted all the way back in 14th. By the time that caution come out, he had passed half the field up to the 7th position. And why that's huge, with Cannonzaro running where he is right now, he would be in line, bonus points notwithstanding, to gain 45 points here tonight. If Trapper had finished in 7th, he would have gotten 35 points. That would have kept, at least for the time being, would have kept Bobby Trapper ahead of Cannonzaro for the points lead by 4 points heading into next week.
That's incredible news for them as the race resumes. 2 laps to go and a battle for the lead. Cannonzaro tried to stick it in but couldn't quite hold it. Stockwich on the outside. He's just wanting to finish the race. To the inside goes Cannonzaro, and he's going to make the slide job happen. He can't quite keep it. 1 lap to go.
Crossover by Stockwich. Here's Boniface in the picture as well. Contact. Here comes Wesley. Here comes Boniface. It's going to be Wesley almost off course. Boniface looking for the top spot. He's going to go to the inside. Stockwich with a crossover. Who wins the drag race?
I think it was Boniface.
I think it was.
By
I don't think
40.
I think they had 4 tires on the track between the 2 of them.
42 hundredths of a second, I think that was the finishing the margin.
Oh my goodness. It's so difficult to tell where the start-finish line is here at these dirt tracks. You kind of have to rely on where the flag stand is. But indeed, James Boniface, from the 10th starting position in this main event, is your winner tonight in what I think could very well be candidate for the closest finish of the season.
That was incredible. It comes down to 4/100ths of a second at the end of the race. That's what's separating Boniface and Stockwich from the win. Incredible stuff. As we were talking about the inside line, how you have to time your run in order to actually make it work. And we saw that Boniface was able to sail it into 3, and he wasn't, if this was still under regular laps, he would not have been able to hold the lead going into turn 1. Would have had the slide job done to him. But this time around, it was the last lap. He threw it in there and got it to stick. Stockwich almost got the lead back, but it was just too late.
My goodness, I mean, we saw right there on the final lap going into turn 1, he was 3rd. He moved up to 2nd, getting around Cannonzaro, who had the contact between himself and Stockwich. Almost lost the 2nd spot to Grant Wesley, but then after the dust settled, it was just a mano-a-mano of Boniface and Stockwich going into turn 3. And Boniface able to get the crossover, able to hold off the slide job, able to hold off the crossover from Stockwich, and picks up the victory here tonight in a thriller at Lernerville. And here are the results, as you mentioned, Anthony. 42/1000ths of a second there for these guys. 4/100ths. That is unbelievable that these guys were able to keep it together there for those 2 laps, because we saw it earlier. A lot of contact, a lot of sheet metal exchanged, and no difference here in what was theoretically an overtime green-white checkered.
When usually with these cars, when you lock wheels like that, it's a recipe for disaster, but we didn't see it that time and they were able to actually rub against each other all the way up to the line. And give credit to those drivers up in the top 5. They kept their race clean, and they were able to really capitalize on it. Someone that did miss out the top 5, we were talking about him, Grant Wesley, ends up missing the top 5, even though that he made a recovery to get back up there at one point, being in the 15th spot. Lupe Gonzalez, Benjamin Fanning will finish in the 8th place position after leading the event up until no fault of anyone else's but his own, ends up going off the track, just getting his right rear just the little bit slightest off the racing surface, and then ends up almost hitting the tree line around the back straightaway, but still finishes in an 8th place. Brian Werbel will finish 9th. Tony Lucciarelli will finish in the 10th spot.
Great run there for Jimmy Allen in that 99. Tremendous performance for him. We saw him make some daring dives into turn one, able to salvage a podium here tonight. And that last green-white checkered helped one driver, did not help another, with Cannizzaro dropping back to 4th and Trapper able to fight his way up to 5th. He kind of stops the bleeding, if you will, of what was looking like could have been a bad night for the 69, involved in 2 incidents, finishing 1 position behind Cannizzaro, and will at least preserve his points lead going into Williams Grove next week. But man, what a show these guys put on for us here tonight. Let's see if we can talk with some of them here. Let's see if we've got any of them available. It looks like we have our race winner available, but I do not see 2nd and 3rd place. So we'll give it just a moment here in case either Jimmy Allen or Ethan Stuckwich are able to come in for a race interview. But I mean, one thing that we definitely said was we were going to probably see the slide job be the way that you make the pass. I mean, was it just a case, do you think, of drivers riding, trying to get to that final couple of laps, and why we only saw a handful of drivers trying the inside line?
I definitely trying to feel out how the inside line was going to feel at the end of the race. Definitely, we saw that, but then you saw a little bit of a lull in the action between laps 15 and 25. I say that we had a couple of yellows in there. They were battling 2 and 3 wide at the back of the pack, but everyone in the top 5 was just kind of riding around. They knew that they weren't going to be able to hold it on the inside. This track, the turns are too tight in order to keep the momentum on the corner exit. You get a lot of it on the way in, but then you lose it on the way out. So riding around, feeling each other up, trying to stay close enough to strike. And then absolutely, when the last laps happened, it was time to go, because you can make a pass. You just couldn't hold the position at the end of the exchange. So seeing them do that, trying to size each other up for the end of it was fun to watch them, because you knew in the back of your head what they were doing. And I kind of compare it to a super speedway where, yeah, you can make a pass on the inside, the outside, of the middle, but you want to run around the track, because at the moment you're running in the middle of the race, it doesn't really matter what position you're running in, but it sure does matter who your friends are, and it sure does matter who you can and what you can do in order to make passes.
Well, let's see if we can go down to victory lane and talk with tonight's race winner. He made his debut last week at Fairbury, where he finished 7th. Tonight, he started where he finished in the first position. Actually, correction. He finishes in the first position, and get this, Anthony, he led only 1 lap here tonight, the all-important final lap. So let's see what James Boniface has to say about that finish, maybe the closest finish of the season overall. Hey, James, Anthony, and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, what an exciting finish here tonight. Just kind of got the feeling, the way we saw the double 3 and 4 wide racing from the beginning to the middle portion of this race, that we were setting up for an exciting finish. But man, I got to ask you, coming off of turn 4, you had to know the crossover was coming. Did you think that you had enough momentum to hold them off at the line? Because we saw a couple of times with crossovers, the car on the inside was able to get the edge at the start-finish line.
Well, I was just going to give it all I had. It was a last-ditch effort. I knew there was a little strip of bite out there, and hopefully I could just throw him off his game a little bit and get the win.
Now, the outside line was definitely the preferred line around the racetrack, although one of the more dangerous lines that we're going to see all season long. How did you manage to, or how did anybody manage to take to the outside line without dipping the wheels off the track? Because we did see that the leader at one point, Fanning, he did go off track and lost a lot of spots from the lead of the race. How would you manage, how were everybody managing the outside line here?
Well, luckily I got a lot of practice laps in hot laps, and I hate to see him go down like that, but I was kind of thankful because it was hard to make a move. The outside was so good. Trapper was actually pretty good on the bottom. I was stuck in the middle of Trapper and Cannizzaro for a while. I had nowhere to go. I just wanted to get back up top because it was so fast, but I was happy to get back up there, and the way things planned out worked out for me.
Talk about that final lap because you were third place going into turn one. At one point, you were in a three-wide situation there for the race lead. We saw a lot of contact between yourself and Wesley and Canonzaro. I mean, then we saw you make the setup over there into turn three. How much of that was strategy and how much of that was, oh, well, that was given to me. Now I'll take advantage of this opportunity?
That's pretty funny. It was kind of instinct. I just went for it. I saw the slider coming, and it didn't look like it was going to be clear on Canizero, so I tried to cut down. I didn't expect Wesley to be right below me, but I kind of just stayed right in it, and I tried to get the slider back. I was surprised he left it open, honestly. I thought he was going to hunker the bottom, but I took advantage.
Well, man, an unbelievable job for you here tonight. We mentioned the fact that you only led one lap tonight, but man, it's the most important one that everybody wants to lead coming around to that checkered flag. So congrats on that. Looking forward to seeing what you can do here at Williams Grove next week, and the remainder of the schedule has had a good performance last week as well at Fairbury. We're now going to turn the mic over to you for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to make next week. I got a meeting, but I want to thank the Blackjack Graphics guys. I run small blocks with them almost every night, so they're an open setup small block server that helps me keep me on my A game. And thank you guys for putting this on. It's always a good, fun race to race a broadcasted race.
Well, that is James Boniface. He is your winner here tonight at the Lernerville Speedway in a thriller under the lights. Congratulations once again, James. Go and enjoy that victory.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
And it looks like we're not going to be able to get either Stuckwich or Allen for post-race interviews, so that is going to be concluding our coverage here tonight from the Lernerville Raceway. But I'll tell you what, Anthony, I mean, right now it is looking kind of very similar to me of what happened in last year where we saw Bobby Trapper. He was the dominant car. He was the car everybody was out to beat, but we ended up having these new names that came in from the first season to the second season, and they were consistently running at the front, and a couple of them finding victory lane. It's kind of looking the same here. I mean, Boniface, only his second start, and he parks that 213 in victory lane.
Yeah, he was able to be in the right place at the right time and really strategize when to make the move. And yeah, he got a little bit of help with that last caution, and he did also get a little bit of help with the departure of Fanning when he went off the track. So it was a partway skill and a partway of just the dominoes falling in, kind of falling in place, and he was able to be there. And half the strategy is just being in the right place at the right time, and he was clearly in the right place at the right time. And also the skill that he's got, the skill that all these drivers have to drive these cars around these tracks. It's extremely difficult, and we got to see a good show tonight of just the showmanship and how these drivers have mastered their craft.
Also very impressive, the lack of number of drivers that we saw go off the back straightaway. I think we had maybe 3 or 4 during the course of the night, and that included in the heat races. So these guys did a very good job of making sure that they didn't let that very treacherous back straightaway come into play. Mentioned the fact coming into tonight that Bobby Trapper did not have a victory here in his TNR career at Lernerville. Well, still a 0 in the win column there, despite a solid finish of 5th place, and he still holds a 12-point lead over John Canonzaro heading into Williams Grove next week, which, oh, by the way, is one of the tracks that Bobby Trapper won at last season. So we'll see if Canonzaro is going to be able to stop Bobby Trapper from doubling down in back-to-back seasons. But nonetheless, great racing here tonight. Some long green flag runs as well, despite the fact that there was a lot of contact, 3 wide and 4 wide all the way through the field. These guys put on a heck of a show, and what a finish here tonight. 42 1/1000ths of a second edges James Boniface over Ethan Stuckwich for his first win of his TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series career. Anthony, it's been a thriller here under the lights. Appreciate you joining me up here in the booth.
Yeah, it was fun. I love dirt racing. I love watching these guys run around the tracks, and I can't wait for the rest of the season. It's looking like it's going to be a great season with some of the tracks we have lined up.
Definitely is. Next week, we're going to, as mentioned, be heading to Williams Grove Raceway. Hope that you will join us for that next Tuesday night with the green flag flying at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you haven't had your fill of sim racing, our buddies over there are also on FRN bringing you coverage of the Great Lakes Racing Paddy Engineering Truck Series at New Hampshire. So be sure to head on over there and check out that exciting race that is currently taking place. But for Anthony McCurry, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, folks, as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.